What's up, everyone? It's Snoo back again. Welcome to the first of my Curation Divination farms. 100 maps. Here we go. This one's not going to be exactly what you thought it might be. Well, Curation Divination, I'm going to be farming with the Scarab. No, not for the Scarab using meat sacks, but actually using the Scarab to farm for all those crazy jackpot cards. There already exists a farm. People have been doing a lot of things around this. The group players are a really good canary in the coal mine, I guess, for what the best farms are, what really works out there. And even after the very recent Shaper touch to nerf, it would seem that super crazy juiced Sanctuary maps, Shaper All Flame maps, Delirium Beyond, and you know, the whole 9 yards, that is the way to do it. But there have been whispers of alternative curation farms that potentially could be good, especially for solo players. Those whispers have kind of died out as of late, but I'm going to be doing the ever so odd barrel and go curation farm. Yes, barrel and go. This is a very odd farm, because it's super fast mapping on a super high investment cost strategy. What do I mean by super high investment cost strategy? Well, just take a look here. Divination Scarab of Curation, 9.4 divines. That's if you only buy one at a time. In bulk, maybe a little bit higher than that. And that means I'm going to have to invest, well, at least 9 divines per map, right? Well, not today, actually. We're going to be cheating because we're going to go with Horned Scarab of Preservation, the one right below it, which I would say is priced, obviously, with the Divination Scarab of Curation in mind, because usually it's that Scarab plus the Divination Scarab of Completion, that's 5 lines down, fairly cheap, and then 2 Divination Scarabs, each granting 150% more Scarab drops. But if you substitute one of those, you'll earn about 2/3 of the cards you would have, and you'll lose a Scarab slot. So you can only do it on one where you would use 2 of those Scarabs, and there aren't that many farms like that, because a lot of people like to use Bloodlines and other things for their 4th Scarab slot. Anyway, Scarab barrel and go, definitely a good one to do. So this is going to be a perception versus reality video, because I think a lot of people are completely overlooking the potential of a barrel and go curation farm, especially for solo players. We're going to see just how much currency I can make with that farm, and you can see the potential is pretty high. Now, I can't get the House of Mirrors, but I can get Unrequited Love, I can get Apothecaries, Fire of Unknown Origin. Goes down a little bit after that. Brother's Gift, 7 years. The Fiend is also on there. And those cards are worth quite a bit. And we do have some decent data, apparently. I've gone ahead and looked deep into it. We got some decent data on the drop weights for these cards, courtesy of a 3.23 massive stack deck opening from Prohibited Library. At first, I wasn't so sure about this, but on second thought, I do think these numbers are pretty accurate. Some of the weightings might be off a little bit, but they do have sort of low weight, average weight, high weight. And we're going to be using average weights to figure things out. To look into this, I will link this in the description, of course, for your convenience. You can take a look at the Unrequited Love card and see that it has an average weighting of 4. That doesn't mean they found 4 cards, it just means that it's been weighted as such. And it could be somewhere in that range, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, probably somewhere near there. Well, I took the liberty of plugging in all the weights for the rare cards, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to farm 100 maps, and we're going to count all the Wrath cards, Union, Inventor, Hoarder, Fortunate, Mad King, the common cards, and we're going to basically figure out the exact drops that I got against the weightings, and then cross-reference that with the weightings of the rare cards. I'm going to figure out normalized drops. I actually don't care too much about how many rare cards do drop. I mean, of course, it'd be nice if I get lucky, make a whole bunch of currency, but what really matters for you guys is how many cards should be dropping based on this strats, because we can ultimately boil it down to how much of a profit margin could be expected to be made, at least with some of the best data we have. And I will be giving my sample of data, of course, for what it's worth in 100 maps. I must say, though, with investment costs this high, with stakes this high, and a sort of gamble orientation of the strategy being what it is, 100 maps really isn't a great sample size. But anyway, I'm going to do what I can, and you guys can take it for what it is. Hopefully it's of some benefit for you. It's gonna be a lot of fun because yeah, this is like the Crimson Prison with quintuple the stakes, I guess. It's pretty crazy. Now, the Curation Scarab, if we go through it and we see it right here, gives 10% more divination cards found in an area per different favored map. Favored maps matter a lot, and you can manipulate the weightings of cards that will be dropping based on your favorite map here. And of course, you're going to want to unlock some of the really good cards. Of course, we put Crimson Temple on here. My list is as such, and the atlas is linked in the description below. This is a recent favorited setup that Fubgun started using when he was getting some intel from some people, and I looked into this and I like this list. It's kind of a cross between let's unlock as many of the great cards we can, but not like the entire list, and let's try to, you know, slam down some of the useless cards that would be dropping on some other maps. So kind of taking a mixed approach on this, and my results have been fairly good leading up to this point, so that's really nice. We got 100 maps of the Fortress, which we'll talk about in just a second. Let me actually go to the Atlas first, which, LOL, is the exact same as the Meat Sacks Atlas. So, identical Atlas. This is the Barrel and Go. This is basically the Back to Basics Atlas. I don't really see any reason to change this unless you were to unlock some of the Scarabs. Yeah, I'm just going to be like farming Scarabs because, well, you know what? I'm doing Barrel and Go, which means I'm farming Scarabs. It also means I'm farming currency. So that's just kind of a bonus, even though I'm farming divination cards. So it's a lot of fun. Stakes really high, but at least I can kind of get the consistency. I'm basically doing two farms at once because I'm doing Barrel and Go, really fast runs, and I'm also doing some really high stakes divination gambling at the same time, so to speak. But anyway, every single map that I have will have at least one Scarab and one rare roll. So we'll have a decent chance of getting value out of all these Scarab nodes. And yeah, just kind of, there's not a whole lot else you can do with this. Increase effect modifiers as much as you can. I could take this inner wheel here, but I mean, it's more important to do this. Anyway, I'm not going to mess with it. It doesn't make a huge difference on the back end. Sorry, there's some live searches going on in the background. Fix that. But at any rate, these maps, as you can see, all have Scarab and currency. And they, for once, don't have the antagonist mod, increased number of rares, which means these maps were very easy to roll. I just had to roll Barrel. Now, because I'm doing the Curation farm, I am being a little bit restrictive, not doing low-end barrel rolls. Every single one of these rolls is 35 to 40 barrels. So 30 to 34 barrels, guess what I did with those? Well, I put them off to the side, and I'll just do actual Barrel and Go with them, because they're not as premium. So we'll do the cheap strat with that. And then I do this here with these. And then if I happen to find, you know, some really nice maps with increased number of rares, I'll save it for a later farm. Coming to a YouTube video soon. But for now, this is pretty easy to set up, and I'm just going to budget these maps at a grand total of 1 divine apiece. It's pretty easy to hit these in, you know, 20, 30 chaos to hit something that's good. The maps are pretty easy. I can run some nasty mods. It's okay on my character. Really just need to have the barrel mod, which gives you Scarabs already, and then at least one additional currency mod, because I just can't fathom doing Barrel and Go without having at least some chance to drop a raw mirror. You may have not known this, but the best way to drop a raw mirror, the most efficient way this league, is Barrel and Go with this currency roll on your map. So probably something like 1,000 maps to get one on average. I'm not sure exactly. I'll have to take a look at the Sacred Orb count. Maybe I'll remember to do that. Also got some Abyss All Flames over here. Now the reason, this is not anything serious. I'm not planning to use All Flames on any of these maps. I don't feel like it's, honestly, outside the Shaper All Flame, I've been testing a lot and I don't really see a huge benefit in doing this, especially with this strat right here. Abyss All Flames is just to get rid of some of the really odd mob types, the ones that burrow a bunch, the ones that have like invulnerability bubbles and things like that, which I've become accustomed to. I don't like those. And Abyss All Flames just like 1C each, and they seem to be halfway decent. At least don't, how should I say, make it worse. Still get loot off of them. But rest assured, at least 80% of the loot is going to be coming from barrels. So if you think you need Magic Find to run this strat, think again. Probably I'm going to get like 5% more loot with 42% quant than someone with no MF. And uniques are not a big part of this farm. And even if they were, they're not really worth anything anymore. So there's the Atlas. There's the setup. I only need one copy of these. Scarabs, because we're going preservation scarabs down the line. We're going to be using the horned scarab of preservation, the rarest scarab in the game. So, big elephant in the room is the marketplace cannot support a whole bunch of people doing this farm because the horned scarab of preservation is really rare. So what does that mean? This scarab will go up in price almost certainly, probably before the video even releases. It's currently about 5.5 div a piece in bulk. So what I'm going to suggest to you is, if this scarab exceeds 2/3 of the value of the Curation scarab, you should just run the Curation scarab with the second Divination scarab, because I'm going to be getting about, I think, 62% of the scarabs that I would get if I ran double Divination scarab. The math checks out on that. Something like that. So there aren't that many great strategies for this scarab. This is definitely one of them, though. Definitely one of them. So let's get started with a map number 1. Load this down here. Oh, I forgot. I was already doing a little warm-up. Not that it really matters. We'll put that away. So again, we don't have to include the cost of this Divination Scarab of Curation. I will never use it. So it costs about 600 divines for 100 maps. 6 divines a map. Pretty simple. Alright, so let's get started. This map has a low-end Scarab and currency roll. Nothing super special. But it's got 40 additional clusters of barrels. So that's good. We're praying for a good back-to-basics roll. So we want a good back-to-basics roll. We want to get lucky scarabs. We want to find Curation scarabs out of barrels. We want to find mirrors out of barrels. Would be nice. And we want to find full stacks of unrequited love. Just a little bit of gambling going on here. That'll be a lot of fun. Anyway, quantity of items found. Let's get started. No bad mob types on here. And yeah. At least I don't really have to mess with this. I'm not like looking at this super hard to see if I get anything great. I don't really care. I'm just going to make it as easy as I can. So that would be, actually, I think that's maybe that. Yeah, something like that. These maps are going to go by fast, which is good for the profit margins, hopefully. Now, what is a good back to basics roll? I found that anything over 100% spawned is at least decent. Anything like under 80, if this number, that means it's not very good. So this is decent. I guess it's halfway decent since it was 40 barrels. Whoa. A little damage there. Alright, you can see I got 12 sets of the Hoarder. This loot filter is linked in the description below. And it selects only, I am only seeing Union cards and Wrath cards if they're in like full stacks. I'm not picking them up, and you know, I'll reverse engineer the actual drop rates by, you know, figuring out how many I would have dropped if I picked them up single. It's actually not that hard to do that when you're finding, you know, thousands of them, or picking up thousands of them, I guess, across 100 maps. That'll be very easy to do. We got Searing Exarch runes here. I'm not even going to be killing the boss every time. Sometimes the maps will be hard. It's actually kind of hard to steal a bunch of Headhunter buffs without the antagonist mod on the map. And the rares don't have that many mods, so really are not going to be getting many cards from monsters themselves in these maps. Virtually all the cards you're seeing right now, they are dropping off of barrels. The chat says, using Divination Scarab for completion for strive so I can donate some. That's okay. I only need 1. Because I'm using Preservation Scarab. And I already have 100 of them, so we're good. Gotta attack constantly on here. Like if you run forward and then attack, you'll just kill yourself in the barrels. So we got one fortunate finally. Pretty lackluster drops here, but that's kind of how it goes on this map. It's definitely the kind of farm where you lose currency on most maps. That's my... Every red star is very exciting as you come up to it. And it is really exciting because you'll pop the barrels off screen and you'll walk up to it like, oh, what is it? What is it? What is it? Yeah, and then it's brother's stash. It's like the worst outcome. That's okay. It can't even group up. Ooh, well, that's not bad. That means I made money on this map. A lot of money on this map. I mean, not a crazy amount, but anytime you trip the full stack of 7 years, you're doing good. That's a good outcome. Don't want to give you any false promises here. It's not every map that happens. Again, only 1 out of 5 drops will actually drop as a full stack. And I suppose this Brother's Stash might have dropped as a full stack too. We don't know though. I say it does though. That's weird. I just noticed I have 258% more maps found in area. What a waste. I'm going to take my 8 Headhunter buffs in here. And if I wipe on this guy, I'm just going to stop. And I'll just do the next map. Because I don't want to spend any more than like 3 minutes per map, preferably. I think I got halfway decent damage. Oh, you might not notice I'm actually not wearing my Soul Eater gloves because for this farm it's hardly any rares, so it's actually a better idea to run Rampage gloves for me in this case. Oh, I should probably, you know, grab those fragments, huh? Whoops. All right, so that is one map with a halfway decent back to basics roll and making good currency. I'm going to press Alt here to check for the Onyx Amulet, which is not on the loot filter. Don't want it on there, personally. But there we go. Now, if I get at least... It's actually pretty impressive. If I get at least half an inventory full of loot on the Preservation Scarab with, you know, only 62% of the Scarabs I would get with double Divination, that's a good sign for me. And I know that I'm poised to make some pretty decent currency if that's the case. So we'll check the numbers at the end. We'll plug everything in. You can fast forward to the results if you want. But I'm telling you, the highlights are going to be something to behold. We already saw one in the first map showcase. All right, map number 2. Great opportunity to go extra fast on a farm like this to help with the profit margins. Again, the easier rolling maps, not having to worry about the all flames. Keep it all cheap. Ooh. 1 Nimbus card. I'm way in the green right now. This is the second map. What in the world? I gotta fix the overlay. 12 Fortunates. Okay, well, that's a third of the investment of the one map when I find 12 Fortunates. That's always good. I'm not saying it's not real, but it is like so hyper meta that it's... I think you're losing currency by even thinking about it. It's that small of a difference. Just thinking about it makes you lose currency. Which, by the way, I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying, oh, he's an idiot for doing it. No, I'm just saying it's not something I care about. I've looked into it briefly and then, you know, basically took the wisdom of a few other colleagues, so to speak, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna forget about that then. Like, that was my... I must have, like... Oh, they fizz as chaos, this map. Wow, that's a drop. Second one this league. I mean, I'm going for mirrors. It's not that strange. I gotta die one more time to this guy. Every single death has been to that mob type in this map. I'm just skipping mobs now. I don't care. Good idea. Barrels. Barrel and fuck everything else. That's a strat. Not barrel. Get out of here. Map quant affects barrel drops, yeah. I like taking portals, guys. My favorite thing in the whole world. I did 40 map test on this and got 10 div per map based on the stack deck weightings. So I'm expecting at least 8 div a map. And that was with worse maps, by the way. There we go, full stack. That was with like maps of random roll ranges on the barrels. These maps are all 35 plus barrels. So these maps are actually better, the ones I tested with. Oh, I didn't spot the... I did not spot the Divination. Or Divine Orb roll. Oh my god, alright. Well, this is the first time I've seen this since, yeah. Since after the nerf. Holy cow. 3 Divines off 1 mob. And a Preservation Scarab. I only got 5 Divine Orbs this map. There's a Nimbus card. And then like... Wait, they go for less in bulk? What the hell? Should go for more in bulk. Less? Why? Why do I keep dropping that card? What in the world? Oh. Man, maybe I should play on console. Shit. What world? Dude. Yeah, I just dropped 1 last map. And I've dropped 2 in 1 map. Feeling pretty unlucky right now. At least it's not dropping in full stacks though, like the Brothers gift card. Thank goodness. Or else I'd be really upset. Actually gonna get loot from mobs this time. Shape or all flame? Well, okay. I guess I would have sustained shape or all flame. I'm not sure if the whole more multipliers on the maps is a good idea for T17s. I like the concept because I want I would like T17s to be the meta as far as, you know, the top end of gameplay. It should be, right? But this implementation's a little bit scuffed. Ooh, 13 7 years. There we go. Well, I still haven't hit a super jackpot, but we're keeping those 7 years alive. Mini jackpots. Like 150% more divination card drops is a pretty powerful thing, and the fact that you can put double on that is, I mean, that's a lot more div card drops. But you can also like do other things with it. Do 1 divination, and I'll finally drop the Curation Scarab. Crazy overdue for that. There it is. I'm guessing you are. Oh, a Nimbus card. Why can't I get a stack of that, though? Alright. Finally got one of the actual rare cards. Again. How about your first Mage Blood? A few minutes afterwards farming? Oh, that just proves the point that the rich get richer. Brothers. Harry Ray, that one's for you. I just cannot stop dropping that card. What in the world? Divination Scarab of Curation. Worth 2 brothers gifts. Okay, I was complaining earlier about somehow going like 60 maps with no Curation Scarab, and I dropped 3 in like 10 maps. Can't deal with this way from downtown. Hinakora's lock, number 2. You know, Fubgun has only dropped 2 Hinakora's locks all league. I just dropped 2 in like 60 maps or something. Yeah, 3rd lock, no mirror. No mirror. Yeah, let's forget him. I got his locks and he got my mirrors, I guess. I don't think he's actually done a whole lot of barrel and go stuff, though. I know he hates it. I don't know how many Sacred Orbs I got. The problem is I actually used some earlier this league, so... And I don't have the MTX ring. How much does that Pilfer ring cost? Oh, a full stack of 7 years, too. Wow, wow, shit. This it's a freaking money, this map. My Chaos Cap? No, hell no. Oh wait, yeah I am. Well, that's thanks to Headhunter buffs. The only way I'm Chaos Capped is with Headhunter buff. Yeah, that's a wrap. Here we go, guys. A whole lot of blue in my stash tabs. The results coming to you pretty simple because it's mostly divination cards. So we'll break this down in a second, but I just want to show you all the stash tabs so you can, you know, give me your prayers for RSI purposes. It's going to be pretty rough turning those in. Not going to be counting the turn-in time for the currency per hour liquidation or whatever. I never do that. You know, I'll just do it over time, I guess, slowly as I get to it. I still have some Abyss All Flames left over. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, we got through all of the maps, and it was a lot of fun, actually. Because it's just so jackpotty. Even if I'm not a huge fan of barrels or whatever, it's so much jackpot in this strat. It is kind of fun for that reason alone. All right. Taking a little back stage here on the stream elements, and you can see that I just want to show this so you can see the stacks here. So I got 13 full Brothers Gift stacks. Yep, you heard me right. 13 out of 13. Pretty crazy, I know. For 7 years, not quite that lucky. I got 5 full stacks there. So individually 19 7 years drops and individually 15 enlightened card drops. I didn't count, or I didn't post what was going on with card count, anything beyond that, but as you can see, pretty unlucky overall, because where's the Apothecaries? Where's the Nimbus card? Unrequited Love, 0, right? You would hope that I would at least get a few of those. 37 Divine Orbs, so that's because I put currency on all my maps. Currency roll. 2 Hinakora's locks, very lucky. We got 2 Hinakora locks, so quite lucky there. Maybe supposed to get 1 of those in 100 maps, probably not even. But anyway, here it is, the big breakdown. Let's take a look at the macro view. 670 divines worth in divination cards. So you can see right there, absolutely profited, right? Because it was about 600 divines to jumpstart this strat. It was about 6 divines per map. And that was virtually all in the preservation scarab, and then like an extra divine for the map. Did get some currency. Most of that is Hinakora's locks, and then Scarab breakdown to get 3 Curation Scarabs, so that was nice. I guess that's maybe kind of average. I don't know, 3 Curation Scarabs seems a little low on Barrel and Go. Every map obviously had a Scarab roll as well. But here we are. I think one thing I did get lucky on, if I'm not mistaken, is Fortunate card drops, which is a little hard to believe because, you know, you're dropping over 1,000 of these things anyway. And of course I pick up the full stacks and the regular. 1,332 Fortunate cards. When I went into the back and was looking at the weighting differentials between the cards, it looks like, if anything, my luckiest card was the Fortunate card out of all the cards that I dropped, which isn't bad because that's a mid-value card, and that is the bread and butter of this strat. Fortunate card evidently is where you're supposed to get most of your currency, perhaps. So it's the top line, that's fine. They get a little bit lucky on 7 years bad luck, it looks like, which we'll look at the spreadsheet in a minute. 77 of those. 2 Hinakora's locks. Brothers Gifts coming up next. Everything looks on the luckier side for these top 4 lines. Then we start getting into the unlucky drops, starting with the Nimbus card. Should have got more than 3. Mad King should have got more than 301, I guess. Divine Orbs, maybe that's right. I don't know. The Apothecary way down here. Unrequited Love nowhere in sight. Enlightened card, I mean, it's actually not worth that much. But you can see, check and take a look at some of the cards here that are on here, like the Wrath card, 28 Divines worth of the Wrath card. Hoarder, 31 Divines worth of that. These cards amount to something. They really do matter for a farm like this, as we'll see. Union card. If I drop any one of these cards, I guess it'll be the Union card, because that is a lot of clicking for just 9 or 10 Divines in 100 maps, I suppose. But after that, scrolling down, we did get a couple of Shaper All Flames. That's kind of cool. 1 Preservation Scarab. I did get 1 of the high-value Coffins. Still got a few of these kind of low-value cards. And, you know, just more Scarabs and more things like that. A few uniques. Really don't see hardly any uniques. And the maps will not be counted for much, because in this farm, this app cannot detect the... Like, as you can see, it can't detect the Conquer Influence maps. It colors them this way, but it doesn't value them as such. Oh, actually, maybe that is the right value now. That would be interesting. It might be an update on their end if that is calculating it right. Perhaps it is. All right, so well, kudos to this app. I guess maybe they updated it. Anyway, there's not that much there, right? So I really don't have to worry about all kinds of crazy bubblegum stuff. Not that bad. Now, just to remind you, this is linked in the description. This is the weightings of all the cards. You use the average weightings to normalize some of the drops I would have gotten. Here's a spreadsheet. Right before we get into that, I'll show you this here. So we got an investment of 600 Divines. 6 Divines per map. Gross wealth here, 988. By the way, some of these numbers are off here. If you actually do the math on here, the Fortunate card's value is like 222 Divines. Brother's Gift is 5 Divines each, not 5.2. I'm just calling it a wash. I'm not messing with it. It's all fairly close. But anyway, just wanted to share that. So I got the numbers here. Net 388 Divines. Took about 6 hours and 20 minutes to do all of these maps. So Divines per map, 3.88 Divines per map is what I personally made. And roughly 61 Divines an hour, just counting the running of the maps and the hideout time in between. 61 Divines an hour. Getting relatively unlucky. Again, lucky in some ways, unlucky in kind of the ways that matter the most, I guess. Not a bad showing there, I would say. Pretty good. I think a lot of people would be surprised, you know, if I said, hey, I did a 100 maps of a Curation barrel farm. I got 0 Unrequited Love. I got 1 Apothecary and 3 Nimbus cards. Do you think I made any money? Most people would say, no. You definitely lost money, right? Absolutely not the case. So it turned out that that was pretty good after all. And here's some of the breakdown. This is going to help you understand where some of these numbers come from. Now, I'm not very good at math. I relied a little bit on the community to help me on this. I don't have an exact formula for this, but just kind of go through it best I can. Please bear with me on here. I have normalized the Divination cards common with no completion, and I use that as a baseline to figure out the normalized drop rates of the rare cards with completion. So these cards here actually represent numbers I got. So I say normalized, but actually these are the real numbers that I got, but I have to normalize it because I didn't pick them all up, right? I didn't pick up the singles of Wrath, Union, Inventor, or the Hoarder. I only picked up the stacked ones. So I have to like reverse engineer how many cards likely fell. And it's not hard to do that because the sample size is pretty big. As you can see, a lot of cards drop. Anyway, roughly 2,245 Wrath cards, individual Wrath cards, not completion, just individual Wrath cards would have dropped. Okay, and a similar story for all of these other cards. You know, the Fortunate has a really big stack size, so that's why I was able to loot as many as I did. But individually, only 416 Fortunate cards would have dropped. And of course, I did actually pick up all of them, so that's going to be a pretty realistic number. And we have the weightings up above here, right? So these are the weightings pulled straight from the average weightings of this page here. This is the 3.23, okay? It is 1 league ago, but it's the best info we have on that. And so I have a kind of an all-encompassing ratio number here to use as a formula on the following columns: 0.2844 of the total ratio. And I'm basically getting a normalized ratio for all 5 of these different, or 6 of these different cards. So it's a pretty good number. It's a pretty good number there. And you can, again, you can look up, double check the weightings on all of these cards. So we got the weightings of the rare cards. So Enlighten's the highest, 7 years, a little lower. I already knew that from doing a lot of Crimson Temple farming. The Apothecary, 7 times more rare than 7 years bad luck. That looks exactly like what I know it to be. Brother's Gift is apparently more rare than 7 years. Didn't realize that until now. And then we have the Nimbus card and Unrequited Love. The Unrequited Love weighting is the only one that I think is a little bit suspect. Might be wrong. I think it might actually be 3, not 4. But because the sample size is so low on that one for the stack deck unveiling or whatever. But I'm going to use it as 4 as it is. Anyway. Alright, so to figure this out, okay, for the Enlightened card, I have a weighting here. And so it's not too difficult. We take 2.2844 times 78, and then we take that number times the other formula would be, I guess, 11. No, sorry, the stack size of 6, so it's 10 divided by 5. Actually, I think that's right. Here, let me double check this. Hope I don't get this wrong. We've got all this done out of the way beforehand. Okay, so 22.18. And then obviously, 10 divided by 5 is that, and then take that to 22.18 or whatever it was. Okay, so it's about 44. Okay, and then for 7 years bad luck, it's a bigger stack size. So to get the normalized completion drops, all right, we got to do... So it's not, 10 divided by 5. It's actually 17 divided by 5. Okay, because that's going to represent how many cards you're going to get, counting the completion, a lot bigger size, right? So it's 3.4. So in this case, I take 71 times my magic number over on the left times 3.4. That gives me 68. Okay, so that's why, even though 7 years bad luck is a lower weighting, I'm expected to get more cards, a lot more cards, because then that's simply because the stack size for the completion proc is way different, way bigger, and that's why, of course, 7 years is already more valuable than the Enlightened, so the estimated value for that card is way, way higher, really high, actually, and that's why the 7 years bad luck is a big money maker on this farm. It's a lot to do with, the fact that it's a mirror card too, so people are going to be going for that. All right, so Brother's Gift is simple. Obviously, there's no completion proc. Or wait, there's a completion proc every time is what I mean to say. Sorry. Yeah. It procs every time, technically. I'm pretty sure. All right, and the Apothecary number here, I'm not going to go through the formulas again, but, I use that exact same process and figure these out. And it's pretty simple. We take it divided by 100 to get the div per map ratio, right? And if I add up all these cards, all of these cards, it's not every single card that I've found, but it's most of them that are showed up on the value of the app. It came out to roughly, I guess exactly, 9.12 divines per map for this farm. And this is sort of an all-encompassing magic number. This is this is the most important number for you guys right here. Is that when I flesh all this out, I drop all those common cards, I break them down, normalize the drops, cross-reference it with the weightings of all the other rare cards, and then normalize the completion drops of the rare cards against the actual normal common cards that I drop with a huge sample size against this pretty solid data that we have from the stacked deck. This is about the best number I can possibly give you. Through all that math, 9.12 divines per map. And again, I'm only finding about 62% of divination cards I would be finding if I used the actual curation farm with double divination scarab. Again, I was using preservation scarab, so I lost a lot of divination cards. That way my map cost per map was lower. But anyway, map cost per map 6 after this video comes out. Assuming the preservation scarab probably go up a little bit of value. Maybe it's closer to 7, maybe 8. I don't know. But again, this is just for divination cards, by the way. This does not count everything else. So you can see there's pretty good profit to be made. For me, I was making a profit of, on average, it would be on average, 3 divines per map. Now, things turn out differently, right? You find 2 Hena Cores locks, it makes up for some of the bad luck on card. That's just how it is. You just run maps, you get loot. You get loot from who knows where, right? But I can expect this to be a profitable farm based on this data. Up until the point where preservation costs 9 div per. But here's the kicker. Preservation Scarab's very rare. It could go up. It could disappear from the market. You know what? That's fine. Stop running it. Use the Curation Scarab instead with double Divination. Get 40% more Divination cards. And, your cost per map will be higher, and your loot per map will also be higher. I suspect that the magic number for the Preservation Scarab is obviously somewhere between half and 2/3 of the cost of the Curation Scarab. If the Preservation Scarab gets close to, at, or definitely above 2/3 of the cost of the Curation Scarab, it's no longer the best option. The best option is pretty obviously, just doing simple math there, the best option becomes Curation Scarab, completion, and double Divination if the preservation is 2/3 the cost of the Curation Scarab or more. All right, so I hope you followed all that. Rewind it if you want. That's all the best info I can give you. So this will also be linked in the description below, but I will continually reset this and change things on there. So this is a limited time thing here, but you will be able to see this linked in the description of the video. So this is there, that will be there. My filter, Omega Strict, PoE, all that stuff right there. All right, that's it for the video. Final thoughts on this farm. All right, I've talked about this before. Barrel and go, kind of boring. I don't really like killing barrels for loot, but if you can make it interesting enough with enough jackpot potential and just make the stakes really high, it sort of ham-fists the excitement back into the strategy. I guess it's fun because you drop something valuable off the screen. You're excited to go see what it is. Is it a brother's stash or is it 16 unrequited love? You don't know. Or an actual raw mirror. Could be even on this strat. So it is quite entertaining, and you get through a lot of maps quickly. And so you can really give yourself a lot of currency over a long period of time. You might lose money in the short period of time, so be warned. You don't want to start doing this kind of strat until you bankroll something. But I would find it hard to believe that I would actually lose currency after even just 20 or 30 maps. And that's because the Fortunate card is really helping carry the strat. I mean, I average at least 2 divines in Fortunate cards alone per map. That's a third of my investment back just in one card. So if I only did, 5, 10 maps, could easily be losing money. If I do 20, 30, 40 maps, probably not going to be losing money after that much time. But, the risk is there. So heed that warning, please. Moving forward, I would like to come out with a curation farm that doesn't feature preservation, maybe goes a little deeper into the investment, maybe uses some all flames. I'm still going to be researching that, so that could be a little more exciting. It will add time to the map, but it'll still be back to basics. The juiced up version of curation farms, pretty stressful, it's a lot harder. I'll do it again for sure, but anyway, I got a lot of nice maps here. These are the kind of maps that I'm setting up to run with another Curation barrel and go farm. Then they all have the antagonist mod, so these will have to be valued a bit higher because they have barrels and the antagonist mod. But a lot of potential there for some more loot, even higher stakes farming. I'm curious to see what you guys think of this farm, understanding that it is very reminiscent of Crimson Prison, where if you run like 5 maps of that, you're going to lose currency. But if you run 500 maps of that, you're going to make a ton of currency. So it feels reminiscent of that. It's a different farm. We're not opening strong boxes. We're busting barrels, I guess. In hindsight, actually, opening strong boxes is not that hard to do. It's not exactly challenging content for the most part. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you think about this strat. I personally made 60-some div an hour. I actually forgot to do the calculation on the normalized estimated div per hour, but that'll be in the title anyway. So it's going to be probably even higher, definitely even higher than the number I made. But yeah, that's going to be it for me for now. We got more videos coming. I'm not done with the league yet. So, we'll see you in the next one.
A few minutes later.
Alright, now let me show you, give you some idea about what I'm planning next, maybe. So this is back to Curation, Completion, Double Divination. This is with the Antagonist mod, increased number of rares, plus barrels. A more premium map. Okay, this map is worth at least 2 divines to me.
A few moments later.
Coffee takes up some space. Good start. Like I said, about 2.5 times more cards than the previous farm. The previous farm's a good farm, guys, I swear. I swear this one's not, you know, way better or anything. Everybody who just bought out the market on preservations is shambles now. Oh man, you like that whiplash? Does this not look like way more loot? I mean, look, I'm seeing a rainbow on my mini map. That wasn't the case before.